We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more scientists. Where are those at?
More astronauts.
Yeah, more engineers.
What's going on, family? Kevin and Jesse here with you guys today with the Elite State of Mind podcast. As always, our goal is to listen, learn, and grow. Jesse, how you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I am doing amazing. Family, make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook page. Hit that little bell on YouTube for me so you get notified every Wednesday morning as Jesse and I take you guys to work. Family, what we're going to get into today, the young and the restless. Why is consistent love and true love hard to find? Jesse, when you were thinking about this topic, man, what was on your mind?
Just that, back in the day, The Young and the Restless was a hot show, man.
Man, it was.
Back in the day, if you wanted to know what the drama was, what was going on, I remember during the summer, man, my aunts would...
Oh, ain't a lot of love, The Young and the Restless.
It was a thing, man. It was a thing that you had to know what was going on with everyone, and it was always a story of some love that was misplaced, unrequited. It was missing, not quite there. So, as I took a look around, it seems as though the young men and women today are both young and restless when it comes to trying to find the connection.
Okay. What do you think has led them today to be, young and restless, not able to have the connection?
I think they have a lot of pressure, man. Because they have that, with social media. Back in the day, growing up, man, we could do some dumb stuff. And the friends, the homies wouldn't try to record us. It wasn't on Snap. Right? It wasn't there, but, there wasn't a random person sitting up, chilling on the front porch, being able to see us jump the bike off the ramp and crash it and, all of that. But today they don't have that. Right?
That's true.
They have the pressure of social media there, and they got these influencers that are already making it, quote unquote, and telling them what they need to do, where they should be at 22, 23. They should be making six figures and be millionaires and driving Bugattis and already have the level of their life in place, man.
Man, I was listening to a Brad Lee podcast the other day, man. Like you said, you have these people out here telling everybody where they should be and where they shouldn't be. And he was actually having a conversation with Andy Elliott. And what he said was, you can't get on here and, he was talking to Brad. He said, people see you're at step 14 and they're at step 2. Right. And I'm going to compare my step 2 to your step 14. Right. That's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to me where I'm at. Because we're in two totally different places. Right. Now, if I get this person to be a mentor for me, they can take me from 2 to 14 a whole lot quicker.
Man, yet again.
But I shouldn't compare, when we're on two different parts of the journey, because now I'm comparing apples to oranges, steak to bologna. Right. And now I'm going to mess myself up trying to, expect what you have, or my life should be flowing the way yours is flowing, but you've been grinding for 5-10 years, and I'm just starting out. Right. My journey has just begun. When you brought this topic, the young and the restless, to us, and you said that's what you want to talk about, and you asked the question of why is that consistent true love so hard to find? For me, it took me back to, psychosocial crisis. Okay. And in, one of the first ones being that identity versus confusion. Yes. From that 12 to 18 years, when you are forming, your inner self. You are forming that self-confidence and all of those things that go into that through your various relationships and events and, the things that are going to happen, especially through, that 12 to 18 from middle school to high school. Right. All of the things that go on, most people get their first girlfriend sometime through then, or, first girlfriend, boyfriend. Right. You might experience your first love. Right. Sometime in there. Yeah. And if you navigate it, in the right way, and you get that self-awareness, you get a good sense of self. Right. You are, firm in who you are, positive in who you are and the things that you're going to do and what you stand for. Then you're not drifting from relationship to relationship or endeavor to endeavor, job to job, because you're not constantly trying to navigate this thing in a positive manner. And then it can lead to, on the back end, you being able to find, or identify at least what is a consistent and a true love. Okay. So I think that's really, an important thing. And, now as parents, we really have to do a good job of being able to see, when, either just, children that may not be our own, or, obviously especially our own, if they're having problems navigating that.
Right. Right. I think a lot of times along the way, like we have a pseudo identity. Even in 12 to 18, even going forward past that. Like, I'm thinking back, looking about about life that as men, it's not until we're about 30 we begin to really understand who we are, and then we get comfortable with ourselves between 35 and 40, and then that changes some things. That changes how we operate and why we operate the way in which we do. And like you said, if we're fortunate enough to be able to mentor some younger children or have some children of our own, we at this point in time can now identify where they're lacking. And not just where, but we can also say why they're lacking. But only if we've been able to identify that in ourselves and kind of do that work.
Right. I think one of the most important things is going to be, in identifying, the why they may be lacking in some places, is going to be the who. Who are you hanging around? Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Who is pouring into you? Who's telling you, whatever it is, good or bad about yourself?
Yeah.
Because as we know, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around. So if you're around 5 people that are navigating this, positively, you'll be the 6th.
Right.
Now, if these 5 are confused, which is the other end of this psychosocial crisis,
yes,
you're going to be the 6th confused person, having a bad sense of self, having low awareness. And then the next thing you know, you're running from pillar to post, trying to fill this void, and you strung out.
Pretty much. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that the void is a lack of knowledge of self?
Oh, most definitely. It most definitely is, because you are constantly trying to get something else to fill what you should have begun to fill yourself. As we've said before, no man or woman is an island unto themselves. And we need people, we need friends, to help us through life. But when you have that void because you haven't developed, your sense of self, and you don't have that self-awareness, you don't have that, pride in yourself, self-esteem, you are always going to be, trying to find it in somebody else. So you might gravitate towards somebody who is, has high self-esteem.
Yes.
Now the danger in this, the dangers.
Oh man.
The danger in this is that person, they may not be, the best person. They may have high self-esteem, but they may also be an a-hole.
Right.
They may also be, rude, to everybody they meet. But they're just, conscious in themselves, and they're like, this is who I am and what I want to be.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you've taken on these a-hole tendencies.
Right.
You're rude.
Right.
To other people. You are doing these things that are, really out of character, and, you're just in conflict with yourself day in and day out. And then you may find yourself lashing out, or getting in trouble in school, if that's the age you're in. You may find yourself getting fired from your job because you have problems with, taking orders or something of that nature. And it's all because you need to, take a step back.
Yeah.
Read a couple books and get around some people that can have a real conversation with you and tell you, man, you need to check, who it is you're around.
Yeah. And
get away from some of those bad apples.
Bad company corrupts good morals.
Every time.
Every time.
Those are just facts.
Yeah.
And that'll never change. That's a law of nature. And it's hard to change the laws of nature if they can't even be changed. So if you're out there and you're having that, you're having that problem, especially to the young people. It's not a bad thing, Drake had this song, I'm losing, no friends. Right. So, if you're out there and you gotta, cut some friends off to find who you really are and be true to you, it doesn't always mean that they're bad friends. Right. It just means that they weren't for you. Don't be mad at somebody who has to do what's best for them.
You shouldn't.
It's not a bad thing. Now, it might suck that you guys can't rock anymore. Right. Can't be friends, can't hang out. But, hey, they got to do what's best for them. Maybe in time you come back. Right. You never know. You don't. Yeah. But you got to go and you got to focus on you. What role do you think, in finding that true and consistent love, does self-awareness play? Does that self-esteem play?
They play a big role. To be self-aware is to be also self-conscious from, the inside, working your way to the out. And the self-esteem, man, I'm seeing that there's so many people right now having an issue with that. And I think, with the onset of the pandemic, that did not help at all, man.
No.
Didn't help at all.
Cut off from each other. So.
Yes. So, in aiding the self-esteem is just understanding, who you are, why you are here, right? Having purpose. Like, what is your particular purpose here on life? So many people struggle with understanding their particular purpose. And just knowing that, hey, you're not here just for the sake of being here.
No.
That you have something to contribute, and there's something that you should be contributing. And it's the journey of that becoming, figuring out what it is that you need to become, where your self-esteem rises.
Right. The big thing is you got to start getting some wins, because self-esteem, I think it really takes a strike or a downfall when you rack up a bunch of L's, whether it's academically, whether it is, in relationships, whether they are intimate, whether they're just, friendships or with parents. But if you constantly feel like you're losing, a lot of times the first thing we always look at is us.
Right.
And, we want to say that we're always the problem. And I'm not saying we're not. I'm not saying you shouldn't take self-evaluation.
True.
But, you also have to look at, some other factors. And then you just got to start getting small wins. I remember, man, I had a coach, and one of my first basketball coaches, and he was, I think we had lost a game, and he was like, hey, man, I don't care what you got to do. If you got to go outside and play your little sibling in horse, go get you a win tonight. Remind yourself that you're a winner.
Right.
And it didn't make a whole lot of sense then.
Right.
But now it makes a lot, because those small wins, they affect your subconscious.
Yes.
And if you never get any wins, you forget how.
It's true.
And now you're just stuck in a cycle of taking L's. And then when somebody comes into your life that wants to help you win, that true and consistent love, you'll push them away. You will do your best to push them away.
That's very true. We see that more often than not. That L of pushing people away is we identify it as self-sabotage. I've been guilty. I know many people that in my life who've been guilty of the self-sabotage.
Right.
Of not feeling like I haven't had enough wins in a row to be able to recognize that this person, or whether it be a mentor or whomever, is here to help me win. They want to really help me succeed. They want to see me be the best version of myself. But all I know is because I've been taking a bunch of L's that, hey, I got to come at you with this negative energy.
Right. It's the thing where you will grow up in chaos. And then all you'll know is chaos and strife and fighting, and you don't know peace. Right. And so then when somebody steps into your world and they bring peace, they bring a calm to your storm. Yeah. You're like, this isn't right. And it's like you're waiting for the bottom to drop out of it. Yes. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay. They must stab people in the middle of the night. They must give out backhands every Thursday. Yeah. There has to be something that this individual does. Obviously, everybody has their flaws. But, it's like Grandy said, if you're looking for something, you're normally going to find it. You're going to find it. Yes. Right? So if you are in a peaceful relationship, work, friendships, relationships with parents, siblings, cousins, and then, with your significant other, it's not a bad thing.
Not at all. We're supposed to pursue peace.
Stop trying to drum up chaos just because you live in survival, thinking that that's normal. You deserve happiness. You deserve peace. You deserve to be in a situation where you can grow and be you and be your authentic self. Yeah, like they say, to your own self, be true.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
But you can't. It's hard to do that. Always in the storm. Yeah, storm's necessary. Always necessary.
But they don't stay though. They don't stay. Like you said, some people cannot operate outside of the storm. Even when it's not stormy, they'll go out and do a rain dance to make sure that it is. Right. Like, that's ridiculous.
No, if obviously we need the rain, we need the cold, we need, every season has its purpose. Yes. But it, like you said, it can't stay all the time. Here in Oklahoma, it's about to be summertime. Right. We know that. And so it's going to get up to 90, 95, 100. Sometimes it might reach 110. But then what happens after a couple weeks of that 110? I sure can't wait to be, wintertime. I sure can't wait for fall and my pumpkin spice latte and, ride through the pumpkin patch. Ooh, right? Not hating on you. Right. Because if it stayed that 110, Can't grow anything.
That's right.
It's going to be a burn ban. I can't go outside and get on my grill.
Can't barbecue.
So all these seasons are necessary.
Yeah, they are.
Stop trying to always thrive in a season of chaos. And understand, man, if you get a season of peace, even if it's to yourself, praise God.
Yeah, accept it. Accept it. Embrace it.
How do we embrace that? How do we embrace our season of peace when all we want is war?
Well, just know that it's necessary, and just be welcoming. Just be open to the idea that life can bring and should be something better than just being at war. At war with yourself, at war with friends and family members, at war with your God, whomever that may be. Just at war at work. Just it can't just constantly be
a fight.
Yeah, it just cannot. So you have to be open to that idea, open to that energy, open to that vibration, that peace has a place.
Man, it does. And I don't understand. And maybe, family, you guys let me know why it is that, once we get to a certain age, like you said for men, once you hit that, you crest 30, why are we not seeking peace in all that we do? Why are we not training our children to be peaceful, letting them watch peaceful things? Keeping a peaceful environment for them and for ourselves. Because how can I expect to achieve greatness and I never want a moment of peace? Obviously, pressure makes diamonds. And that is a necessary, and out of some of the worst of circumstances, the best people have arose.
Right.
Completely understand that. So yes, those times are necessary. But why are we not going through the pressure to get to peace? I want to go from pressure to pressure to pressure to pressure to pressure.
Because they don't understand how it works, right? Even inside the body, we can't have pressure constantly or we stroke. Right? Uh-oh. So the same thing's going to apply to your life. If you constantly have pressure, okay, something has to burst. Like something has to give. But we have to be able to balance that out. And the balance of that is going to have to be the peace. You have to be, pursuing it. You have to desire it. And like you said, an atmosphere of peace should be on the forefront of your mind. So that takes a level of emotional intelligence and that has some intention behind it. Right. To understand that, oh my gosh, if the environment I inhabit is peaceful, then the element of creativity can flow. If I need to learn something, if we're dealing with children, they need to learn something. If you're talking to another adult and you're trying to come up with a different idea or a solution to a problem, the best way to do that is to have an environment that is conducive to peace. So like you said, what is that? Okay, then you have to be mindful of what you're entertaining or what's entertaining you or what you're watching or what you're listening to. Even if the energy of another person, if it isn't right, in the words of our uncle, dismiss yourself.
Run.
Expeditiously.
Run. Get your best 100-yard dash on.
That's right.
And run till you reach the finish line. What is, real quick, what are the effects of this outside, whether it be, this mental stress, subconscious stress, on our physical body?
Well, it's the back end of the title. Restless. Restless. Right? The lack of peace is the presence of being restless. You can't get settled. Your mind, you're tossed and turning. Your mind is never calm. There is no calmness to the sea of your mind. That's a problem, right? It's a problem if you're sitting in a chair, yet everything inside of you is constantly moving. That's a problem.
Be still,
right? Yeah. If everything in you cannot get still, you can't center yourself. You can't center your thoughts. You can't cause your CNS to calm down. See, that's something that we can control mentally that most of us aren't aware of. That you can take a thought and calm yourself down. In the same manner you take this same thought, you can rev yourself up. Right? And so if you take that thought and you hype yourself up, it can go too far and become a negative. Gotta have a balance there, right? If I need to get some enthusiasm so I can study or lift a weight or whatever, okay, cool. if I go too far and that energy becomes anger, it becomes negative.
Right.
That we have a problem.
Because I can no longer channel it to where it was supposed to go.
That's right.
Like after I've lifted my weight, I need to take some deep breaths. I need to calm down.
Yes.
I need to go stretch. Do me some yoga.
Yep.
Like you say, get back to a normal state.
That's right.
Of being homeostasis.
That's right.
And we should be trying to achieve that. It's just crazy that we just never seek that. We just never do.
And why is that? Because the majority of things that we see, they're not seeking that. All these shows out here, let's be honest. The majority of the shows that entertain us, they're not peaceful.
No, it's the suspense.
Right.
It's the drama. It's the what's going to happen next? It keeps us engaged.
Right.
It keeps us wanting to come back for more because, like you said, the things that are peaceful, we may find them boring.
Right.
If I just sit out and I watch the water flow, I'm gonna be calm, probably take a nap.
Right.
So there's got to be somebody getting cussed out, somebody getting slapped,
right?
A car wreck, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
So that I stay involved until we become conscious enough when we stop being young,
right? And
we say, let me remove myself from this, or let me limit how much of this that I take in. And I think that has to do with one of the last parts in the identity versus confusion, about finding where you fit in.
Yes.
And so often, obviously, people, you might, if you begin to like things like classical music, if you begin to like things like poetry, if you begin to like things, like just reading books in general, that can sometimes have a calming effect on people. You get labeled a nerd.
Right.
And obviously back when we were growing up, that had a very negative connotation. I think, sometimes now kids, use it as a positive.
It is a positive.
As they should.
Yeah.
But back then it was, if you were labeled a nerd, you were uncool, you didn't know how to dress.
Yeah.
The only thing you had going for you were you were smart, but people were always thinking you were awkward or something of that nature.
Yes.
But, then we see the quote unquote nerd finds that consistent and true love.
Right.
Oftentimes because they find a consistent and true peace and moment of pocketbook.
Right. They know who they are. They've known who they are for, who they've been, who they need to be for a very long time.
Right.
Right. Where everyone else is still in the, the stage of trying to figure out exactly who they are. And I think a lot of us, especially, as black males in this country, we struggle with that.
Yeah,
we struggle with that a lot.
I think the goal is to confuse your identity. From the time you get into school, because normally, if you're growing up, whether you're in a single parent, 2-parent household, your parents are going to do the best to the best of their ability, what they know, to help you, get a sense of self and teach you who you are.
Right.
Obviously, some of those things are going to be based upon who they were and who your grandparents were, but they try to give you that sense of self.
Right.
And then all we hear, once we grow up or get into school, are you going to play some basketball?
Right.
And your first love might have been science. And I'm not saying you shouldn't play sports. I'm not saying you shouldn't be involved in those things. I love football.
Right.
Got favorite teams that I root for. Watch, just about any sport. Right. But there's so much more to life outside of these 16 games or 17 games that, oh man, I'm sad real quick because the Seahawks traded Russ. I don't think I can be a fan of them anymore.
Probably shouldn't. Probably gonna lose.
They're gonna take massive L's this year. But there's more to life than those 17 weeks the Seahawks might take the field. Right. So I shouldn't wrap my life around just being a fan of the sport of football. When it comes to the Seahawks and rooting for the Sooners. And then we get so enthralled or just confused, for lack of a better word, that all I can do is exist in this realm of athletics,
right,
or in this realm of music,
right,
or and then even in just one form of music. I can't get into country, I can't get into soft metal, I can't get into heavy metal, can't get into soft rock. Any of those things that you might love, because that's not the box that they want you to get in.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And then the next thing you're having this identity crisis, because you have love of some other things.
Right.
And even inside of our own culture, and I'm guilty of this myself. If somebody, played football and then went and joined the band,
right,
we look at them different.
Right.
Oh, you weren't tough enough. you weren't. But maybe the cat just loved to play the drums.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where like it's a good decision business wise for them.
More
scholarships are given in from bands from universities than there are for football.
Mm-hmm. Right? Better scholarships,
and they pay more. So it's something that you got to look at and understand that it has to be more than just entertainment aspects, right? So when people ask, hey, what is it going to be? It's going to be more than just an athlete,
right?
Right. That should supplement. If that's something, a road to be pursued, great.
Do it.
It's not going to be forced.
No.
Not going to be forced. It's not going to, be required. Because I agree with LeBron. When he said, hey, there are enough LeBron Jameses in the world. We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more scientists. Where are those at?
More astronauts.
Yeah, more engineers. What about that?
Those are facts. That needs to be common practice. Mm-hmm. That those things should be the social norm instead of, he's going to grow up and be the next LeBron.
Right.
He's going to grow up and be the next Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
It should be, like you said, who's going to be the next neurosurgeon?
Pretty much.
Who's going to invent, some new technology to help in the medical field?
Mm-hmm.
We need to, whatever skills and things that, that our children have. Like you said, especially in the Black community, we have to do a better job of encouraging those things, especially in an academic setting outside of, the world of sports.
Right.
Because, if you do that, great. But there's so many more opportunities.
Here's the thing, that it's more to them as an individual than just that, right? So many times I've seen it, that guys that are hell bent on going to the league, and then they don't make it. It's been their dream since they were 5-6 years old,
right.
And they worked towards that for forever. And the reality is, it's 1% or less that are going to do that. And they're only going to be there 3 years, right? So you have to do something else besides that. But what I saw was, they went through, they had decent college careers, and then when it came time of the pro day, they did okay. The draft comes, nothing.
I mean, it's a great accomplishment to have those pro days, to get to college and play sports at any level. But it takes a special set of circumstances and, and just the perfect storm, so to speak.
Right.
For these things to come into place, for anybody to reach the level of becoming a professional athlete.
That's right.
It's a tough journey.
Right.
So the numbers, they're just not normally going to work out in everybody's favor.
Right.
And again, like you said, either there can be so many, a piling up of L's or a couple of big L's.
Right.
That happen.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you're just like, man, you've given up on life.
Pretty much.
Like we talked about, a few episodes ago, you've given up on yourself.
Yes.
And you cease to live. One of the other important things, the next psychosocial crisis is that intimacy versus isolation. Mm-hmm. And I think it has a lot to do with, why is that love, hard to find? Okay. Why is it, why inconsistency happens? And a few of the reasons that it gives that isolation can happen, child abuse or neglect, divorce or death of a partner, fear of commitment, fear of intimacy, inability to open up. That's a tough one for me.
It's tough.
Being vulnerable is scary, or past relationships, and troubles with self-disclosure.
Right.
All of those things, and you think about it, because of all of the, peer groups that are, and cliques, so to speak, that are formed in high school, they can lead to these, some of these things just being, just a part of normal culture. That there's not a communicative sense of showing a consistent love.
Right.
Even on a phileo level, just a friendship love. Nowadays, you got homies turning their backs on each other,
right?
For a fresh pair of Jordans,
right?
And that's, it's a sad thing, because now people are so convoluted in thinking that love is how many likes can I get? Yeah. How many selfies or pictures can I post on this trip? How many trips do we take? Right. Right. And then the next thing you know, the relationship is hell. Right. Or, they appear to be a great couple at church.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh. Oh boy.
They'll sing down the Holy Ghost every Sunday.
Yes.
And he'll pray down strong hope every time we put him on the mic.
Right.
But the relationship is garbage.
Right.
Right. But we seek what we think, what appears,
the
to
illusion.
be, a lot of Houdinis.
Yeah.
Running around out here playing their best jokes on people.
Right.
And sometimes that's going to be the key is you got to, if you're going to pick a mentor, you might need to find out how real their life is.
Yeah.
Or are they out here writing bad checks?
Mm-hmm.
That's just you gotta vet these people. It's like if you're having an employee, somebody come work for you, you gotta have a checklist of and get down to some real questions. The same way when you go to find a spouse and be in love, and if you choose to then take that step of marriage, have the tough conversations.
Asking the question like you're posing to another person. How intimate are you with yourself? Right, and that catches a lot of people off guard. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, how well do you know yourself? How deeply have you looked into yourself?
Some of us still in the 3 foot.
Right.
You need to go on down to the 10-foot side of the pool and dig on deep and get some stuff out your closet.
For sure.
But you got to ask those tough questions. Like, do you like to cheat?
What if you do?
How often?
Yeah.
Like there is. Do you like to spend up the money?
Right.
If you do, how often?
Yes.
Yes. Do you go out and drink every night?
Yeah. Real questions.
At some point in time, so that your love can be consistent, so that it can be a true and a real thing.
Can you deal with that? Do you like to give backhands? I haven't seen you in your season of anger, so let me ask. People.
Is it Forearm Friday?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's we have to ask those questions, and then you have to prepare the younger generation that it's okay to ask those questions.
Yeah.
That you need to get a little deeper than what's my favorite color, what's your favorite food, where do you love to eat, what kind of car do you want to drive when you grow up, and where do you want to live?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you got ask the tough stuff. Do you want to invest?
Oh man, see that.
Do you want to live the entrepreneur life, or do you just want to live the 9 to 5? Because if you want to do the entrepreneur thing and they want to do the 9 to 5, and you guys can't find a good plan, to make that thing exist, you might have some friction. Because they might feel like you're just off all willy-nilly,
right,
and never being consistent, and you may feel like they're not brave enough for you.
Right.
And the next thing you know,
hey,
you at the 7-Eleven.
Right. It's always open, though.
Hey, some of y'all need to get away from that 7-Eleven.
Just saying.
Close it down. But that's just, asking tough questions. And I think it starts like you said. Do I ask tough questions to myself?
Yeah.
Do I ask myself, do I like to cheat?
Yeah.
Do I ask myself that? Do I cheat on me?
Yeah. Yeah. Who can say, yes, I cheat on myself? I know I shouldn't eat certain things. I eat them anyway. And
I make every excuse as to why.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't be at the crumble cookie. But hey, y'all, look. Listen. So, real talk, man. This week, they had this white chocolate chip coconut cookie. And I swear it was Jesus, Moses, and Mary Magdalene back there making this cookie. Because this thing was delicious and divine, like it came right out of Nazarene.
Listen, I better stay away from crumble because you will be addicted.
Oh, man. It is it should be cocaine cookie. Right. That's what they ought to call it, but I'm already hooked. Right. So Crumble, shout out. Give me a sponsorship.
Crumble.
Yeah, I need something. Yeah. As much as I'm in there. But yeah, you gotta ask those questions to yourself. And then I think you begin to find that inner peace. Yeah. And you begin, if you're gonna be real with yourself.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're restless because one of the reasons we're not asking the tough questions to ourselves. So it makes it difficult to ask tough questions to another person.
Do I have childhood trauma that I haven't unpacked?
That I haven't dealt with.
That I need to go, speak to a counselor with. Again, I cannot stress to you guys enough. Don't let anybody stop you from going and sitting down with a professional, a counselor,
please,
to unpack, whatever it is you need to get off your chest. There is nothing wrong with that. It shouldn't be taboo.
That's healthy.
Man, a part of your self-love journey. Yeah. Go find a good counselor, because if you keep that stuff bottled up, if you keep it inside of you,
you're gonna explode,
and that's not good. Whether you explode on yourself, and the worst of the worst, happens, or you explode on somebody else,
right?
And the worst of the worst happens. It's just not. It's not a situation, and it's one that in a lot of cases I feel like may be avoidable.
Yeah.
If we encourage people to, you went to counseling, praise God.
Good.
That is a great thing. How's it going?
That should be a question people ask when they're trying to date or court or whatever. What are your thoughts on going to see a therapist? Have you talked to a professional about you and your issues and those things? Those questions might be a little tough, but I think they're necessary.
Right, and I think the younger generation now will do a better job than we did, of asking those things. Because I mean, if we go ahead and keep it $1, when we were growing up, if somebody, if you were dating somebody, they were like, "Oh yeah, I got to go to counseling on Friday." Oh, she's crazy. I'll never talk to her again. Or for a dude, if one of your homies was like, "Yeah, I got to go see my counselor," you're crazy and soft. I'm not your friend anymore. Yeah. And we were always trying to look down upon somebody who was just trying to process some stuff that they had no idea how to deal with. And, we normally didn't know what caused it, what brought it on, what was going on. I mean, they could be, like you said, they could be going home getting slapped every time they walk through the door.
For no reason. Right.
They could have a great week of school. Oh, man, I made A's on everything, and then just uppercut.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you laid out by the tulips.
Yep.
For what purpose?
Yeah.
And now they're, having to come to school or go to work every day and suck that up. And we want to, make fun of them or talk down on them or make them feel less than.
Right.
Because they legitimately need help. If you're one of those people, man, stop that. It's not good. It's not cool. Right. Don't be out there, making people feel bad because they need help. Because mental health is a real thing. It's
a real thing.
Especially, for us in the Black community. Let's encourage each other to go seek that counseling, to go seek, that help. But Jesse, before we get out of here, what should the young and the restless, why should they look forward to their real love?
Look forward? Well, one of the reasons is just know that, you're worthy of it. I think a lot of them don't feel like they're worthy of it. They were able to see some of the difficulties that their, parents or aunts and uncles went through in terms of relationships, and that's part of the reason why they pushed them to the side or wait a little longer, which there's nothing wrong with, but you can't be afraid. You still have to be open
to the idea
of it. So just know that you're worthy of the love in which you actually want.
Right. If you treat yourself like Dollar General, so is everybody else. But if you treat yourself like you should be on Saks Fifth Avenue,
right,
so is everybody else.
Yeah.
The
standard is a standard.
And you have to maintain, that standard, no matter who you're dealing with and who you're talking to. So, family, I just want to encourage you guys again, place your own value on you.
Right.
Love you. Right. And if you are restless and, with yourself, if maybe you listen today and you haven't navigated some of these things that you think to be in the manner you should have, talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Go seek somebody out and talk to them. Because once you navigate it and you get through it, I think the big thing that you get to look forward to in real love is peace.
Yes.
And you can't put a price on peace. I just don't believe that you can put a price on peace. But family, we surely appreciate you guys for tuning in with us today, and we thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. You guys have a great day. We'll see y'all later.